Welcome to the podcast. We are going to be talking about can trustworthy AI help de risk adoption of AI? In this episode, we're going to talk about some real world examples of AI initiatives that have succeeded with adopting responsible and trustworthy AI. My guest today is Jagan Rao. He is Director for Product Success, Risk, Secure Ops, ESG at ServiceNow. He's working with a lot of the top global companies in that role. ServiceNow, as you may know, is a cloud computing platform and is helping companies manage their digital workflows and enterprise operations. We'll get more details on that from Jagan in a second. Very quick intro for his background. Jagan Rao has extensive experience in product engineering, professional services, and customer success. He is leading a globally talented team of tenured product success managers, and he's working on various initiatives focusing on customer experience, customer success in UI, I guess, in close collaboration with partners across the globe. Working at AI scale initiatives as well as programs that are helping customers to achieve quicker ROI and maximize the lifetime value of risk. Um, Jagan, welcome to the show and would love to hear about what ServiceNow is.
Definitely. Thanks a lot, Pamela. Thanks for this opportunity. Definitely, ServiceNow is a platform which is working in a cutting edge technologies, a lot of newer products seen in the market. We have been growing really, really well. Thanks to all our customers and partners who are helping us to shape our products and offerings better. And, happy to answer any questions. As I said, we are in a cutting edge technology business, so definitely AI is definitely of forefront for us. You would have seen in our CEO's discussion where we are heading towards using Gen AI and those areas for sure.
Very nice to hear. And can't wait to get into more details.
Sure,
Jagan, as you know, in this podcast, I'm really focused on helping organizations realize that trustworthy AI can be instrumental in helping them achieve a competitive advantage, competitive edge, promote business outcomes much better if they adopt trustworthy AI or responsible AI at the very foundational element and integrate that into the whole life cycle.
definitely,
So, I want to talk about, love to focus on your product experience, and again, really happy to have this opportunity to talk to you. Um, let me first start off with is ServiceNow using AI or predictive AI for product development?
definitely yes. Right, we are using it. You would have seen in our publications, marketing materials. We are using Gen AI. As I said, since it's a cutting edge technology, we are offering that to customers, using that for building products and for our offerings, for sure.
Okay, thank you. And I know that some of the material that we've done research on is showing that you're using it to power conversational capabilities, for example,
Definitely.
chatbots, virtual
Yeah.
agents used in
Yes.
ServiceNow. So
Yeah.
there's really a lot of it's, I would say, a combination of um, risk profiles
Yeah.
because when it becomes um, customer facing,
Yeah.
then the risk profile can be significantly higher than if it is just giving static interactions, for example.
Yeah.
So what are some of the benefits of responsible or trustworthy AI in developing AI products? For example, what are some of the principles that you may be adopting that are laying the groundwork for your products.
Definitely, right. When you talk about benefits, two types, right? There is technology benefits, there is business benefits, right? Technology benefit is pretty straightforward: efficiency, cost of maintenance, upgrades, quality, performance, time to value, and
Mhm.
innovation. Innovation is very important, right? That's why it's cutting edge technology. That's technology. From the business side of it, it's always about how do we enable people to make better decisions, positive impact, right? Increase profit, developing new skill sets, right? How do you personalize the offerings for a customer or a end user, if you would say, right? Improved services and monitoring. You don't need to have people sitting for a day-to-day task for 24 by 7. You can use this AIs. That's where we are looking at reducing errors. You have seen a lot of human errors that can be
Mhm.
reduced, right? And thinking of long-term benefit to the nature and the people and the society. I think those two are the major areas that we are. That's our core principle, if you would say, right? That's where we are focusing on, and that's where we are hiring those kind of people, building those kind of products, validating with the customers, right? Because unless somebody really uses it and gets benefit, there's no point in building the product. That's why we are always customer centric, using these technologies, hiring right set of people, testing with the customers, getting their feedback, and making sure it is ethical. In the same way, it is not having diverse impact to the society and the people.
Okay, thank you. So that's ethics. You mentioned ethics. Now there
Yeah,
are other elements of responsible and trustworthy AI, such as safety and security, for example,
yeah,
privacy.
yeah.
Are any of those factoring in your
Definitely right.
build?
One thing is we are always, you know, I won't say we are worried. We are always looking at how we can protect our customers. The data, right? When it comes to data, privacy of data privacy, a lot of regulations. We are bound by regulations. Customers are bound by regulations. So data privacy is important. Number one, because AI needs data. Without data, you can't train the models.
Right.
Right? That's number one. You have to, because we cannot share the data of one customer to other. We can share the learnings to some extent, if maybe, right? But it depends on customers what they want to do. Number one. So with the data, you have ethical issues, you have privacy issues, you have security issues, right? Because these models are big and it requires large set of data. So those are very critical for us, which also implies you have seen the regulations that are coming up, right?
Hmm.
You've seen our president, we are already released saying that how you have to be, driving your business or the product or the services using AI. So, regulation is also critical. And AI will have, as I said, AI will have both positive and negative reactions. We also are worried, not worried, we are also cautious about how we are not doing adverse effect to the customers or to their end users. So I think whatever you guys are building is in line with our thinking, right? Where we want to make sure that the products are ethical enough, the outcome is ethical enough. Ultimately, it's the outcome that drives, right? AI is always used for efficiency and other things, profit, but profit cannot be the only way, but it has to be for the right reasons, if you will.
That's very interesting to. I'm glad you bring this up because oftentimes what we do observe is you build first and then retrofit with controls or privacy or security. And it's really interesting and great to hear that you are looking at this going in, right?
Yes.
Even though there is regulation and that is coming down the pike, but there really is no current regulation that says you have to do this.
Yeah.
It's great to see that you are adopting these, at the outset,
Yeah.
whether it's an
Starting
anticipation
starting
or.
starting from concept forget about releasing. Starting from concept, we are always thinking about that. Starting from concept, starting from build, even during the build itself, we are making sure that those principles are adhered. Code reviews, processes. That way, we are very cautious about what technology that we pick, what kind of models that we build, what kind of integrations that are there, who's using our data. You have to be more cautious here because Gen AI is kind of trying to mimic human beings. That's what is our overall outcome. So we are more cautious about being there in that cycle. So we are upfront in terms of kind of using those principles while building the product, validating the product, and things like that, and getting the outcomes. That's why we are as you said, that we are using for chatbots, supporting people, standard use cases of
Mhm.
AI. So getting into Gen AI is around predictive intelligence and using LLMs and things like that. That's definitely there. So yeah,
So, let me ask you this: if have you considered if you were not doing this, for example, what would be the impact? So, what would be a negative impact of not doing? So, as kind of a lessons to share or advice for companies to bring in the right concepts and bring in the right practices, even if it's not regulated. Do you have any examples you might want to share of things that are data types, for example, that may not even be regulated? It's not PII, for example, but it
yeah.
is sensitive data. And if you don't protect that, it can lead to problems later on. So the point I'm driving is, it's not regulations that are should be driving efforts around AI and sensitive processes or sensitive data,
Yeah.
just because there are other elements that are extremely important and can become problematic if they're not considered right away,
So
from the start.
very important question, right? Let's get into these details. Data privacy, you did speak about it. Disinformation, giving wrong information, outcome is wrong, right? It's not data privacy, but the outcome is having adverse impact. Inequality, right? People who are rich can force the system in such a way that it gives a wrong predictions. Bias, gender bias, regional bias, racial biases, right? Discrimination, it's very common. Imagine the social media is so strong nowadays. Everybody uses chatbots and things like that, one or other forms. It could be a shopping, right? It could, you go to some of the big shopping sites. Gen AI can really kill the market, right? It can also have negative impact on the students and the kids and the purchasers and the vendors. You just imagine, right? You go to a bank, and I'm just giving an example here, that you go to a bank, you have a Gen AI, you in the ATM, you are going to select what type of denomination that you want, right? It can be biased. You can, if it's not done properly, if it starts suggesting based on which race, which
Right.
region that you are from, it will have negative impact, right? Suppose say that you are a daily wages person, you go to ATM, it will start giving you only $1 bills. It'll force you to do that. And somebody is a little bit rich enough based on your background, use $20 bills or $100 bills. I'm just giving an example like that. That's a smaller example. Bigger example is like, people want to buy some clothes online, right? It'll suggest only those clothes based on your racial background, based on your geographical background. It'll have a negative impact. People will not, same thing. If you are going to buy a book, it'll suggest only books based on your background or the person's background who is shopping it. It will have negative impact. That means society will not grow. Same thing for ESG, right? That's where one of the topics that I'm very close to my heart, and for the company also, right? For ESG, environmental social impacts are pretty high if you don't do it right. And because a lot of new regulations are coming, for example, Scope 3 is very important for all ESRS and California regulations that are coming. If you want to collect the data, if the model does it wrong, you can shut down the business.
Hmm.
Simple. Because Scope 3 is always talking about supplier life cycle chain and the impact for the society and the people. If a model doesn't predict it properly, either you can close the business or you will do a wrong decisions. It has adverse impact. So that's why we are really cautious in terms of what we are building, how we are building it, how it's going to impact.
That's an excellent example of where it's not what has traditionally been considered as data you want to protect, for example, right? It's not PII, right?
Yeah,
This
yeah,
is extremely, thank you. That's a great example.
yeah, yeah,
Um, we talked about another thing I did want to kind of come back to a little bit is bias and fairness.
yeah,
Um, Do you feel that in addition to looking at bias and fairness at the data level, that we have a good way of creating programmatically
yeah,
ways to detect and mitigate bias in AI algorithms and for,
definitely.
for building AI at scale?
Definitely, right. The As you know, the big concept of Gen AI is generating data itself, because normal AI required data and Gen
Right.
AI is generating data. Anything can be generated based on only on your learnings, right? If when you build these algorithms based on your statistical analysis, based on the maths and the informations that you have, when you start generating this AI, making sure that these algorithms are coded in the right way in the sense what controls, like you need to look at ethical, you need to look at long term impact, you need to look at social impact, you need to look at racial impact. All those controls, even while building the algorithm itself, should be taken care. That's where we are looking at saying that what is the impact, why are we first of all, why are we building it, right? For
Mm-hmm.
example, one big worry about Gen AI is it will replace, if it will make people lazy, potentially. It may replace human beings thinking. It may replace your intuition, it may replace your innovations, right? That those are the things are that you need to think all those things. Are we really going in the right direction or the wrong direction? So putting those controls in place even while building, and using tools that are available in the market who are having this kind of mindset is critical for us, and that's where we are going.
Okay. One last question, and then I'll open it up for any, last comments that you want to leave the audience with. But before we do that, really quickly, what do you think about the skill set required within companies for building AI systems, leveraging the data that is already there? Do you think they need to bring in additional skills and outside help, or should they be kind of developing that skill set with the current um, personnel? Because, as you know, one of the biggest issues a lot of companies or a lot of people are thinking about is the job displacement, right? The impact
Yeah,
of Gen AI. Is
yeah,
it going to eliminate? And that's a valid concern
yeah,
because it is, right,
yeah,
able to do a lot of things that um, more efficiently, more faster, even sometimes better. But
yeah,
what do you think? Can companies, can organizations set the right tone in terms of the skill set required, that you have organizational knowledge?
yeah,
Your job is not going anywhere. You
yeah,
can, we will upskill and make
absolutely.
you more.
So let's look at the skill. Since you spoke about skill set, right? There are two types, at least my experience is technical and non-technical.
Mhm.
Right? Let's go into the detail, then we can talk about how it can be augmented from companies like yours, right? Now, technical, it's about machine learning, data science, algorithms, statistics, applied maths, neural networks, natural NLPs, programming language skills, Python, Java, R, and whatnot, right? Non-technical is always talking about, how do you prototype, how do you communicate, do you have a domain knowledge, do you have business analysis, problem identification, goal settings, ethical way of doing leaderships, reasoning, and things like that. There are two things, right? For the first one, definitely, the first one is definitely a technology. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. There may be companies that are already having these algorithms built in, right?
Mhm.
Look at you need to, it's like, using an open source. Use those. If it's really fit to your purpose, start using it. Look at, open AI, what happened, right? Within 1 year it became so much famous because it's giving the desired output. As you rightly pointed out, I don't think we are going to replace the jobs will be more. It will make you more efficient, right? For example, if it'll keep, for example, let's take an example of customer support, as I said earlier, right? Instead of putting a lot of people, it'll help you more based on the old solutions that is done. You start typing in, you will get a solution. Your fixes are faster. You can go on doing your right things, what you want to do. Then use these people and skill set to upskill them. Use AI, release better products, right? As I said earlier, the business benefits are both from the, software side, even from the vendor side, the customer side. The benefits are much larger, I would say. It's as you said, as long as you keep it in the right way and comply by regulations and things like that, I think that should not be any problem at all, if you will.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. I'd like to conclude with, if you have anything that you want
Definitely.
to.
I think what I would definitely suggest is, yes, when a new technology, new thing comes, you will always have that worry of, it may be having adverse impact. But I would, at least my experience is, I've seen technology last 20, 25 years. Definitely, initial phase will be a little bit, bumpy edge. I think there is definitely a positive side. And the one thing that I want to leave, as I said, I'm very close to environment, social, and ESG product. All the scope 3 emissions that are coming in because of the regulations, you need to have scope 3 corrections. I think Gen AI is the best tool that to use. It's not only for normal chatbots, responding, supporting, and things like that. There are predictive things. And how do you save environment? How do you remove the ethical bias? How do you remove the racial bias? How do you make sure that people get food? You can use Gen AI. I think that's why it's very close to my heart, where people, it gives efficiency. How do you
Mhm.
use it? That's a way that, I'm assuming people are all ethical, use the tools in the right way. I think that's what is going to help. And you know I'm looking forward to see that how this is benefiting humankind.
Yes, you and me both. I like that, and that is the whole premise of this podcast, right? And using AI, that we use it to our advantage to improve our lives, right?
Definitely.
And it can make it happen. It can help make that happen. To your point, which is some things that are very necessary for ESG, you
Yeah,
wouldn't even be able to process all that information without the help of automated tools and AI.
definitely,
So,
definitely.
okay,
Thank you.
okay, thank you, Jagan.